Back here on CBS Sports HQ, presented by Shell. It is championship weekend in college football. Here's a look at the Power 5 championship matchups and all the matchups shown here. Only the ACC title game does not figure into the national championship playoff, but you can still win money by wagering on it, so we're going to hit all of these games. And for a closer look at the Power 5 title games, we welcome in the Raging Cajun himself, Emory Hunt. All right, Emory, we're going to start with the SEC championship game on CBS. May have lost a little luster after LSU lost to A&M last weekend, but I still kind of feel like the Tigers are a threat to UGA and their undefeated record. Georgia favored by 17.5. The total is 51. What's your play on the SEC championship game?
Man, you nailed it, Russ. Here's the thing. It does lose a lot of the luster because LSU could have been playing for a spot in the CFP. However, they do a lot of things very similarly. They can run a football, they play great defense, and they have a quarterback that's a +1 in the run game that's very mobile. So, in my opinion, this game is going to be a lot closer than the 17.5-point spread. Forget what you saw last weekend against Texas A&M. That's an example of a team not only overlooking A&M, but also coming out flat and ineffective. And had Jaden Daniels handed the football off to John Emory, that he doesn't fumble the ball, and LSU maybe goes down and scores and gets up double digits. So I think LSU still is in a good spot here. I'm going to take them plus the points. I think this will be a 9, 8, 7, something around that waypoint game. 17.5 to me is extremely disrespectful.
Let's move on to the Big 12 title game. Kansas State looking to create a little chaos and pull the upset on undefeated TCU. The Horned Frogs only giving 2.5. So the odds makers think this will be a close one. What do you think?
I think it's a Kansas State win. I like them on the money line in addition to taking them plus 2.5. You got to remember, they had a big lead against TCU earlier in the season, and then Adrian Martinez gets hurt. Will Howard comes in the ball game and started to find things, get things going later. But by that time, TCU started to mount the comeback. I think this is a type of team you don't want to play twice. Kansas State is good on defense. They're great on special teams. And now Will Howard is playing out of his mind. So they're going to face not only the same team, but in a way a different team than they faced earlier in the season. So I like Kansas State here plus 2.5. I definitely like them on the money line.
Yeah, maybe even a better team than they faced earlier in the year. The Pac-12 championship game, another one featuring a team in the top 4 right now, and a spread that suggests that an upset wouldn't be that much of an upset. It's USC -3 against a Utah team that already beat them once this year. What's the play?
It's funny because when you look at what happened in that first game, it's the same issue that's going on all throughout the rest of the season. Their defense is questionable at best. So with that being a backdrop, you also look at an offense that was sort of inconsistent despite scoring 40-plus points. So I still feel like now that USC is in the top 4, we're going to see them tighten up. I thought what we saw last weekend from their defense was a good sign. So I think we'll see them get some stops against Utah. I like them in this game. I'm going to lay the points with the Trojans. I think they're going to now have what they want in their hands, in their sights, which is a playoff berth. They won't allow themselves to lose that game against the Utes.
All right, Michigan is a prohibitive favorite against Purdue in the Big Ten championship game. Wolverines favored by 16.5. Any worry about a maize and blue letdown after the beatdown they put on Ohio State last weekend?
Not at all, man. This is one team that takes care of business against teams they are supposed to take care of business of. And we got introduced to an explosive Michigan offense last weekend against Ohio State. I do like Aiden O'Connell and how he throws the football. He's someone that will play hard all 60 minutes. We saw this against Penn State, how they just kept going back and forth with the Nittany Lions. But this is a different defense, a much more consistent offense. Now their offensive line, I think, will take control over the Boilermakers, which is why I like Michigan to cover this spread.
All right, last one here, and the only one that doesn't figure into the national championship picture, but Clemson coming off that loss to South Carolina, giving 7.5 to North Carolina, who just lost in overtime to NC State. Which team do you like better as a bounce-back game in the ACC title game?
I like a different conference championship game as opposed to this one, but this is the last one on the menu. We got to watch it, right? So I think with both teams now coming in off of embarrassing losses, I feel like Clemson's loss to me was a little bit more understanding. They ran into a red-hot South Carolina team with tremendous weapons across the board. North Carolina has a great quarterback in Drake May. They have a great receiver in Downs over there as well, but I feel like they are not the same team in a emphasis on team than South Carolina is. So I do like Clemson in this spot. I feel comfortable with their defense slowing down that North Carolina offense that we already know about North Carolina's defense and how it's only there in name only. So I will lay these 7.5 points. I feel like this is a good number for Clemson.
All right, Emory Hunt, thank you so much for the knowledge. Let's have another look at Emory's picks for the Power 5 Conference Championship games coming up. Emory's got LSU covering the 17 against Georgia, not necessarily putting a loss in the Bulldogs, but covering nevertheless. He likes K-State getting 2.5 against TCU. In fact, he likes them on the money line. USC giving 3 to Utah. Michigan big over Purdue. And Clemson as 7.5-point favorites over UNC.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.